Well, we get it rolling on the Krueger Show, of course, this morning. It is the 20th of October, 8:06 on the West Coast, 11:06 on the East Coast. Good morning to everybody. And we look ahead to Monday Night Football. Niners in Minnesota taking on the Vikings with one of our favorites, a guy who's been covering the Vikings for quite a while now, the former Golden Domer himself, the former inside backer, Pete Bercich, who's a part of the Vikings broadcast team, kind enough to give us some of his time this morning to talk a little Niners Vikings. Good morning, Pete. Thanks for the time.
No, good morning. Thanks for having me. It's it's another week. The Mondays, man, they're a long week. You know what I mean? It just never gets here, and then you finally, they're weird. But anyway, I don't know what else to say. That's very insightful. I understand that, but that's all I got right now.
Why don't we just jump right into the matchup, Pete? I mean, Brian Flores is, to me, one of the more interesting defensive coordinators in the league. He loves to blitz. I saw they blitzed the Bears last week at 71%. The league average is like, 26% or something like that. So they're well above the league average, 26.3%. Last week it was 71.9.
It depends. It depends on how you define blitzing.
Okay.
Right. And so, I mean, in that respect, if you to get for all the real football rubes out there, you want to get really super technical. If you rush four, no matter who those four are, it's really not a blitz.
Right.
You see what I mean? And that's so if you drop two D linemen but send two defensive backs but only rush four, personally, I don't consider that a blitz. I don't think
it is.
A lot of coaches consider it a blitz. You need to send 5 or 6 or more. Which we do a lot of. I mean, it's a different look. It's a different mentality. The mentality stays the same. Talking to the players, they love it because they're going to get aggressive and go after no matter who you're playing. And you look at this defense, who did we lose and who did we add in the offseason, right? So you lost Patrick Peterson. I think Byron Murphy at this stage of both of their careers was an upgrade. And then who else did we add?
Pace.
Marcus Davenport.
Yeah, Davenport.
Who's been here for half the season, and he's going to miss probably at least another 3 or 4. But I mean, everybody else has been like Ivan Pace, for example, undrafted rookie free agent. We haven't added a whole bunch, but yet our defense was 31st in the league last year, and now I don't even know exactly where we are, but we're somewhere in the 20s. I mean, that's a huge deal. Nothing has changed. We don't have a bunch of new guys, right? We don't have a bunch of free agents that we brought in or a bunch of high draft picks. We have a 3rd round corner, who's doing all right.
Blackman, yep.
Yeah, Mekhi Blackman. What's been great is seeing guys like Josh Metellus kind of evolve into this system. So my point is that Flores is doing a lot with what he has.
Yeah, and let's talk about Metellus because I think he's an interesting chess piece here. He's listed as a nickelback, but you mentioned, you'll see some exotics and some exotic 4-man pressures, and Metellus seems like they're taking advantage of his ability at the line of scrimmage, to blitz and to attack off the edges. He's an interesting player, isn't he?
He is, and in both he and Harrison Smith. I joked with Kevin O'Connell. It's like we created the outside safety, like the outside safety linebacker, right? The outside rush safety. Because Harrison Smith against Carolina had 3 sacks in one game, and Metellus had a big sack and a forced fumble the following week. So I think that's part of what Flores does is it's a bit of a moving target, right? Where you have 1 week it's this guy, 1 week it might be that guy. It all depends. You can't really nail it down, and that's kind of the key. But Metellus is very important because yes, he does play kind of a nickel position, but the answer for a lot of teams has been the quick passing game and get the ball outside the one-on-one type blocking, and it's nice to have a safety out there really playing what ends up being the running game instead of having a corner. So he's more in space. He's out there on these whip screens and all those things, and he's a good tackler. So um, it's about putting the right guys in the right spots and building around what you do have. And I think that's what's happened. And Metellus is fit. He came on as I believe, a fourth round draft pick from Michigan, and he was a special teamer. That's all he did. Now he's evolved himself into a guy who's become pretty invaluable on this defense.
We mentioned pace before. What do you think of the rookie? I mean, the NFL's got these strict guidelines. Everybody's got to fit their guidelines. Inside backers have got to be, 6'2" to 6'4", and this guy's
Right.
5'10". But man,
Right.
he's so productive. I loved him at Cincinnati. I knew somebody was going to get a player in the NFL. He's just a tremendous player, even at 5'10".
It's proof. I mean, it's obviously it's proof that the draft is all about height, weight, and speed, right? And the higher the round, the more it's about height, weight, and speed. You got to be the right height, weight, and speed. I mean, I don't care how good of a football player Ivan Pace is. If some team drafted him in the third round, people would look and say, yeah, you drafted a 5'10" guy, in the third round. What are you doing?" Because if it didn't work out, right? That's the thing. It's like the if you draft the ideal height, weight, and speed and it doesn't work out, it's all right. We all liked him anyway going into it because that's how we rank people. But if you draft someone who's undersized and all of a sudden he doesn't work out, then you're an idiot, right? Then as a front office, you don't know what the hell you're doing. It's a shame. To me, it's a shame. And I did a film study on Ivan Pace, after we drafted him. It's a shame that this kid was not drafted. It might be better for him financially, honestly, because he was a free agent coming in. But it's ridiculous that this kid wasn't picked by somebody, especially in the 7th round, 6th round, 5th round. I mean, you watch him on film, the way he's so physical, right? He's so physical. He's knocking guys on their rear ends. Offensive lineman, by the way, runs the football. You talk about speed. I had plays on, we on the breakdown, we had plays where he's out running corners and safeties. Now that corner and that safety, I'm sure ran a 4.5, 4.4, whatever. But 100% of a 4.6 is way better than 80% of a 4.4 or a 4.5, right? So the way the kid plays the game, I'm just so happy that he's that he's here, but it's starting to get long for him, right? He's played a lot in the preseason, so he's 9-10 games into it. You know what I mean? He's starting to get it's starting. Weary. So he's got to become a veteran. Their rookie year for anyone, it's the longest year of your life because you go from a senior college season to a bowl game if you have one. And then as soon as you're done with that, you go right into working out and training for the combine.
Prep, yeah.
And then after that, you go right into your individual days, right? And then right after that, after all of that, then you get drafted and you're like, oh, great. Or you find out what team you go to. And the rest of the guys in the NFL are just getting started. They're just getting started getting into this thing. And you haven't stopped since August of the year before. So as you get further in the season, yeah, some of the rookies have a tendency to fall off a little bit, and it is what I told them that when I said this is the worst year of your football life. It doesn't get anything but easier from here, right? Because you learn the scheme. You're going to get older. You get stronger, but mentally and physically, this is the worst year of your entire football career. Just get through it, find a way to get through it, and then go from there.
And you're learning everything, right? You're learning the process of pro football, and these guys show up with laptops and briefcases, and you've shown up with a
Yeah.
backpack, and
Well,
it's like
yeah.
everything's, you'll see how hard these guys, the best players, work at their position, and
Right.
and I always felt like rookies can give you 6 to 8 good games, and you just don't know where in the schedule it's going to be. If you start them fast, maybe it's up front. If you bring them along slowly, maybe it's on the back end. But they're probably at best going to give you 6 to 8 good games.
I think offensively it's a little bit easier because you can pick and choose when they go in and what they're going to do. Right. You give them a package. This is the group that we're using you in. These are the 4 or 5 plays that we're using you in. You can limit that. You're not going to be in the entire time. Defensively, I think it's a little different. And you bring up a great point. You go to training camp as a rookie. When you're done at 10 o'clock at night or whatever the hell time that they're done, the guys all go do stuff. You need to go study and get your playbook right. It's the worst year. It's absolutely the worst year, and you can't get sucked into the veteran mindset where yeah, we already know all this stuff. You'll be fine, Rook. Just come on, let's go. Whatever. But so mentally, physically, yeah, it's a tough year for these guys, and we're counting on a few of them this year.
It wasn't that long ago that I remember watching you at Notre Dame. It was just the mid-'90s. But, man, the linebacker position and the safety position have evolved so incredibly to such a speed-oriented game.
Yeah.
You had great instincts. But remember back there was a point when, hey, if you were a linebacker, inside backer, and you had 4.7 speed, you were fast.
Oh,
now,
yeah, right.
if you have 4.7 speed, it's like, guess what? They're going to isolate you on an athlete in space and force you off the field. And the Niners only have guys for the most part running 4.5s.
It would be interesting to see, to be able to go back in time because the game was so different, right? We had big pads, it wasn't necessary. It was about physicality, and that was the main thing, right? To be able to go downhill and take on a lineman or a fullback. Right, and fill a gap with them. And nowadays, I mean, the pads are smaller. They train differently. It's all about you're training now for athleticism, not necessarily for just strength. It's like it was bench squat and power clean or deadlift. Right, that's what it was all about back in the day. And now it's all about being an athlete. So that being said, it would be interesting to see. I think though I can't. I mean, I think the numbers would be the same because with some of the guys that I played with, and especially in the NFL, just had they trained, had we all trained this way with especially with the sport grass now and the cleats that they have and the shoes, the shoe technology, you know what I mean, is so ridiculous. I mean, we used to have to break in shoes, right? You couldn't just put a pair of shoes on, and you had to wear them for 3, 4, maybe almost a week before you went through like 1 or 2 pairs of shoes a year. That's it, and cleats wise, at least, because they were, leather and
right.
I don't even know. That whole part of it is nuts. But anyway.
Are you enjoying? Now I know you dabbled in coaching. You coached the D line. You did some quality control, and now you've been doing the color commentator role on the Vikings radio networks and '07. What do you? I mean, do you enjoy the? I don't think people realize the long hours that football coaches work. It's a totally different schedule. I'm sure you love your schedule now more than when you coached.
Yeah, I mean, I still coach. I coach, high school. I was a head coach up in Minnesota for a while. I'm now kind of in the Chicago area helping out. In between, I love the game. I love coaching it. What I found was, I retired at 30 from playing. It was Denny Green while I was playing, he brought me in one day. And because we didn't talk a lot back then. I mean, no one talked to their coaches. You stayed away from them. He said, I think you should consider coaching when you're done playing. And so I asked him, am I done playing now? Is that what this conversation is?
What are you trying to tell me?
Yeah, exactly. And he said, no, just when you're done. So I said, okay. And so I started looking into it. And then, 2000 was my last season. And then in 2002, Mike Tice was hired with the Vikings. And so I got on that staff. I found that it's your second job is the hardest one to get, right?
Really?
It's his second job. The first one you might luck into it, but it's, once we all got let go after in 2006, then it's like, you're looking for a life. You just, you have to know the right people. And I had some opportunities along the way, but it just didn't work out. And at that time, I made a decision. This is why I went to college. This is why I did some of the things I did when I was younger, so that I didn't have to coach. I wasn't going to pick up three kids and move them
Sure.
and,
Sure.
go down that route. It's a commitment. Um, you know, you, the, you, the level of commitment it takes on certain levels, you really have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Are you going to move your family all around this country? I didn't want to coach college. I wasn't going to do that. I was either going to coach in the NFL, or just retire. And when the opportunities didn't come up right away, I wasn't going to wait it out for 2 years. Right? We got fired with no. We got fired. We didn't have a contract. A lot of times you sign a 2-year revolving contract. That way, if
Sure.
something happens, you have a year, a cushion. Um, no, we were let go at the end of our contract, so it was like, nope, no paycheck, no nothing. What are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to sit around and wait, so I moved on, and
Um,
then this
I,
opened up. So
I really like Mike Tice, by the way. You mentioned Tice. I had a couple beers with him when he was out here with the
oh,
Raiders, and just a great guy, man. I love
he's
Mike
he
Tice.
is. You'd be hard pressed to find a better guy to sit down and have a couple beers with
Yeah.
and just let him go,
Yep.
because he'll just go and go and go. And so I love Mike. Gave me my first opportunity. I played with Mike, and then ended up coaching with Mike. I thought, what we did when we were coaching with what we had, we did a pretty damn good job. Yeah, it was a little bit like the Wild West, no question about it. We had some issues in that respect, but yeah, we did the best we could.
Um, let's talk a little bit about Daniil Hunter. I was driving down to the facility yesterday, and I'm listening to my buddy Tim Ryan, T Rock, on the radio, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah," he's like, "Man, this cat Daniil Hunter, he's shredded like a salad." It made me laugh, but
Yeah.
man, Daniil Hunter is in phenomenal shape, and he's having a great year. 8
Yeah.
sacks, leading the league. I mean, and
Yep.
they're blitzing at a high rate, and one of the benefits of the blitzes is that they're getting him on a little bit more one-on-ones than he would normally be in, without those blitzes, and
Yep.
he's just deadly. I mean, he's playing at the highest level in the league. Are they going to keep him? Is he going to is it teetering? Is there what do you think? I mean, because there's an awful lot of talk about him being on the
Well,
move.
I know, I mean, that's what it is. It's talk, right? That's what people do. They sit down, look at the roster, and they go, "All right, well, this guy's most likely to go or to stay." I mean, you'd have to ask Quasi that question. What kind of questions is he getting? And the thing I think with Daniil, a couple of things. Physically, this was the first off season that he's had in a long time where he wasn't rehabbing something. So he spent this offseason just developing, which I think has helped him physically. Um, I don't think he embraced the 3-4 system that we had last year with Donatel. I
Okay.
just I just don't think that was his thing, because there's a high level of physicality needed to play that position in that defense. And I just don't think he embraced it. I think he wanted to be an end, or that, and not whether his opinion's right or wrong. It's just a matter, I think he wanted to get after the quarterback and play defensive end. And so with this new Flores system, it's a 3-4, but it's different. And they're using him the right way, and they're able to create mismatches, just through alignment, and between he and DJ Wanham, and then Davenport, and the creative ways that you can use them. Um, he's benefited quite a bit. I mean, the interception, that Hicks had, against the Bears, that was because they had a running back blocking Daniil Hunter, right? You got them to make a mistake, and so Daniil's getting a lot of opportunities because of the system, and because of his physical nature. Is he just lining up as an out as a wide 9 defensive end and just beating tackles every single week? No, that's not what we do. See what I mean? It's just a
Yeah.
different a different scheme, different setup, and he's playing at a very, very high level, and we love Daniil and love to have him around as long as we can. Um, we hope he stays healthy for his sake because he's struggled, throughout his career. But we'll see.
I'm interested
We'll see what happens.
I'm interested to see what a former backer feels about the Niner backers, Warner and Greenlaw. I know
Yeah,
you
they're as
watch
good.
most.
They're
I know
as
you
good as
watch
you
mostly
get.
Vikings, but I mean, what do you think of the tandem?
Well,
They're playing at a high level right now.
well, I always do a film study of the upcoming opponent, and you watch. People always want to know what makes San Francisco defense. What makes them so good? Well, yeah, it has a lot to do with the players, but it's not just the players. Um, there was an outside run by Cleveland. The running back kind of cut it back, and then you pause the film, and this is the end zone camera. There are 10 guys in the picture, right? 10 guys. There was one play for Cleveland Furl who chased down a run complete. It was a toss, so he didn't have to worry about the boot, but he ran about 25 yards to limit a run to 2 or 3 yards.
They got a great culture going right
obviously
now.
Nick Bosa. The other one was the Oren Burks. Oren Burks, when your corner fell down, and
Yes.
he was the guy that ran 6. And we
Saved the touchdown.
Well, I know when
moment.
we traced his feet, he ran almost 60. He ran almost 70 yards to chase that down. 70 yards. Show me anywhere else where you're going to see that. Show me anywhere else, right? You're just not going to see it. You guys are so physical and you tackle so well. All these little short passes that teams get 5-6 yards on, you give up 2, you give up 3 because everybody's running the football. Add that up over time, and that's the difference between a 3rd and 4 and a 3rd and 7. And when you're 3rd and 7, you can do a hell of a lot more as a defensive coordinator than you can when a team, when you're 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. So it's that mentality that is so. You guys play so hard. There was Hardgrave chasing down a screen.
Saw
and he's
that.
smart, right?
He read it a while. He only took 2 steps up the field. As soon as he read screen action, he reversed field and went downfield to make a tackle.
Yeah, there's a couple things when you're a defensive lineman. If I'm going upfield and all of a sudden I'm free, it's like you have you think about it.
Why?
I'm either so good that I got free, or at the NFL level, whenever you're running free, you got to put up a red flag because you're like, okay, who's got me? But the other thing too was the quarterback never sets. On a screen, the quarterback just keeps slowly drifting backwards, right? He doesn't set his feet. It's not 1, 2, 3, plant and look. He's just, drifting back, and he saw that right away. So he stopped, turned, found the running back, and chased him down from behind. Now, it was still it was a decent gain, but you do that play after play after play after play, and it limits. That's why you guys are what number 3 in defense? I think overall by yardage, number 3 overall.
Yeah, I think 3 overall.
Yeah,
a little bit further down on points.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's like that's what makes you guys so damn good. And we're not even talking about Bosa yet, right? You're not even talking about, I'm not talking about the rest of the talent on this team. You guys. I love watching you guys play because these guys, they love the game. They love flying around, and that's what I'm thinking about. I'm like, yeah, okay, you're going to get this group in on national TV on a Monday night. Are you kidding me? Right? Awful loss. No, yeah, great. Thanks, Cleveland. So, yeah, I mean, points are going to be for us at a premium. We put up 12 points against the Bears defense that has been struggling. I mean, obviously, we're trying to find an identity in offense without JJ. Not having JJ changes things. We didn't see anywhere near the 2. We see 2 high safety all the time because of JJ. Well, teams aren't worried about it, so we're not going to see it. Makes it even harder to run the football. You're getting looks that you're not used to getting. You're getting line stunts because your quarterback's immobile. He doesn't, he's a pocket guy. It makes it tough. None of it looks good for us.
The Vikings are 2-4, and Jefferson's on the IR with a hamstring injury. And I don't know, Pete, you tell me. I mean, it seems like we're seeing him show frustration on the sideline. He's a young guy. He's 24. He's a game breaker. He's
Yeah,
probably one or two as far as the best receivers in all of football. There are people suggesting that he's not happy there. What's going on there?
I don't know.
Is there anything to that?
No, I mean I don't. Well, what's he going to be unhappy about? I mean, unless it's uh, contracts that or discussions that none of us know about, right? And that's the business side of football. And the business side of football, that's why you have an agent that stays over there. He's unhappy, I think, because he's unhappy because he's not playing. He wants to be out there, right? The Bears game was the first game that we've had without Justin Jefferson since we drafted him, right? So you got to go back to 2019 when Justin Jefferson wasn't on the field for the Vikings. And that was one of the, when we talked about JJ and his numbers and everything, I said I think the most underrated part of his game is the fact that he's always out there. How many, how many good to great football players have you seen that just aren't on the field every week? And it's frustrating as hell, right?
Yeah.
Because they're there for a few weeks and then they're gone. And they're back and they do great and then they're gone. And they can't, you don't get to take it to the next level, especially, I'm especially with cornerbacks, because cornerbacks, you have to learn, right? You have to, in wide receivers as well. It's an art form. It's not just height, weight, and speed, or else those guys would all be the best in the league. There's a lot more than that. We saw it last year with JJ when Detroit started rolling up and jamming them at the line and having a safety over the top. This is the third game of the year. He had 3 catches for, I think it was 29 or 39 yards. And it's a copycat league, so you're going to see it next week and the week after that. So by the end of the season, they had figured out a way to beat that. He took it to the next level. He figured it out. And so now we're going through that with Jordan Addison, where he's got to learn how to get off a jam and off a press. And, so being on the field week after week after week after week is going to make you a better player. So for Jefferson, who's paid the price, he's put all that work in to not be on the field. Yeah, it's going to be frustrated. I don't think it has anything to do. Personally, I don't think it has anything to do with contracts or anything like that. The guy just wants to play. The kid just wants to be out there. Right. And when you're not, that's extremely frustrating. And, I think some of it shows.
Addison is a tremendous young player as well, and 49ers are going to have their hands full with him. Bosa was asked, Pete, about Cousins, and he's like, hey, man, he plays the position to a T. He goes through his reads. He's on time with the ball. He's accurate. He's smart. So obviously a good combination. He's tied with Tua right now for the most touchdown passes in the league. With 14, he's completed 67% of his passes, almost 1,700 yards, 4 picks. What do you think? I mean, he's not going to run. He's only run the ball 10 times for 17 yards, but the guy is outstanding in the pocket, and he can go through his progressions as well as anybody. How's Cousins looking so far in your mind this year?
We're not as explosive as we were in the passing game a year ago. I think the other difference is that we depend on the pass now. You mentioned Cousins in the passing touchdowns. Did you look at our rushing touchdowns and the number of those that we have? We've become, yeah, exactly.
I know. I've looked at the fumbles.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, we've had a ton of them, but we're not. Last year with Dalvin Cook, we had, we had a guy that could break a big run, and the running game had to be, you were worried about it. I don't know. We're just a lot more one-sided. A few of the games
why
early.
Is that? Why are they struggling to run? Because, 2.1 last week against the Bears. And,
right.
And I like all 3 of these backs. I like Madison. I like Akers. I like Ty Chandler. I liked him at North Carolina. Those are 3 good backs. So is it they're just not getting it done up front?
Well, I think with when you look at the Bears, then against the Bears game, I think you got to go back to they saw a lot of things that they didn't know. They didn't know what they were going to see because they didn't have JJ, right? You don't have Justin Jefferson, so you don't know. You don't have any film. You just don't know what you're gonna, what you're gonna see. The Bears did a lot of stunts and a lot of moving of the defensive linemen, and I think that gave us some problems. You had a couple. You had 3 plays by one guy, that were bad. 3 plays by another guy, and you had 3 guys that had 3 bad plays each, I think. And so there you go. There's 9 plays right there. So it's always a guy here, it's a guy there. Um, but it's been that part of it's been frustrating to see how that running game just some of it I think is just design. It's That's where these things get so murky and muddy, is there's a problem, and if it's easy to see the problem, that's a good thing, because then it's easy to fix it because you know exactly what the problem is. If it was, let's just say it was our center, for example. I mean, and obviously Bradbury. Well, it's another thing. Bradbury's been injured, but if it was just your center that was terrible, that's an easy fix. You replace the center. Well, it covers a myriad of I think different phases, different parts, um, with with the running game. It's been an enigma, right? It's been an issue, and we don't have a lot of balance. So you go back to what, like we were saying with Cousins, we were throwing the ball, 75% of the time, right? Something like that. And, in a couple of these games, we were just that's all we did was throw the football, and it's hard to survive. It's hard to survive in this league offensively when you're one dimensional, and
Uh,
so
no
we got to
question.
find some balance somehow, some way.
And I mean, I'm looking at these margins. The margins for the Vikings, they could have won all these games. They lost to Tampa by 3.
Yeah.
They lost to Philly by 5. They lost to the Chargers by 4. They lost to the Chiefs, but only by 7.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a complete opposite of last year
yeah,
when we were winning all these one score games. Now, it's funny, you mentioned these one score losses.
right.
How many times have we turned the ball over?
Yeah, I
13?
mean, yeah, that's an area where the Niners have been really good this year is the turnover
We've had
margin.
we've had
And that's
7
the NFL right
different
there.
yeah, we've had 7 different guys fumble the football.
Wow.
6 guys have lost it, We've had 6
And
different guys
as a
on offense
backer, and
give
as
up
a
a fumble.
linebacker, if you fumble and you've got 9 fumbles on the resume, guess
Right.
what? Everybody's going for the ball,
Right.
right? I
You
mean,
guys
every game.
you guys have 10 interceptions on defense, and your quarterback is throwing 1. It's not that difficult.
Yeah.
We've been the exact opposite of that. The field goal we scored on the first drive of the game against Chicago, those were the first points that we have scored on an opening drive all season.
It's hard
Right?
to play that way.
Right. Right. You go again, you're playing the Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs. First pass is to your tight end. He goes for 25 yards and then fumbles the football. Right? You go to Philadelphia, JJ's going to get into the end zone to take a lead, going in, right before halftime. We'd have been up by I think it was 7 or 8 or whatever, and he fumbles the ball, and it just skips over the pylon, and it's a touchback for Philadelphia. It's been you go to Carolina, we end up winning Carolina, but you get down to the 4-yard line and you throw a pick six. I think at the time Cousins' passer rating inside the 5-yard line was in the 40s. 40s, right? It's situationally, we just obviously continued to shoot ourselves in the foot, and even against the Bears, right? Even against the Bears, we, defensively we were able to turn that around, but we still, linebacker blitzes, running back goes to pick him up, he hits the arm of the quarterback, they intercept it, right? And that, had we not turned the ball back over, that could have been the game right there, because we turned it over, on their side of the field, on our own side of the field, excuse me. So, yeah, it's. I hope you can hear the frustration, because it's been,
it's
it's been,
it's been that kind of
been
year so far for
frustrating.
you guys.
It is.
Give me your perspective on Brock Purdy. Everybody, here it's that there's 2 camps. There's the people that really believe that he's what you're seeing with Brock is sustainable and he's their quarterback of the future. And then
Yeah.
there's a whole group of people that are still, despite the incredible record, maybe based on his draft position, maybe based on his physique, maybe based on his
Yeah.
lack of big
Height,
time arm strength.
height,
They're
weight, and
just
speed, right?
yeah, they're just convinced that he can't do it and that he's going to fall on his
Yeah.
face and the clock's going to strike midnight and he's going to
Right.
revert back to being is he there? What do you see with Purdy?
I see a guy who um, is he's a great decision maker. All right, he's able to make decisions quickly and make the throws, putting the ball where it needs to be. He has a very, very quick release. Okay, he's the anti Justin Fields. I tell you, Justin Fields has that nice long, takes him a while, but you know, Purdy is just 1, 2, 3, bang, that ball's out. He knows where it's going. He's going to get rid of it. Bang, bang, bang. Very good very good in the middle of the field. That's where, you guys like to attack. And then unlike Garoppolo, he'll actually throw a ball outside the numbers, right? He'll hit it. He'll hit a guy outside. Very accurate, against Cleveland. I think against Cleveland was the first time I saw him not be super accurate. Now, did that have to do with being outside, being in the rain? I don't know, maybe, but he had, there were 1 or 2 I think that he wished he had back. But he's a great decision maker. If things aren't there, he pulls that ball down and scrambles, and he can move the chains on you with that. So I think with the system and with what you guys have there, he's fantastic. I mean, what are you paying? What is he costing the franchise? Look at how many
$840,000.
right.
Hardly anything.
Look at how these quarterback heavy teams are doing as far as cap goes. How are they doing? I mean, I just don't know. I mean, the thing is with him, why would you want or entertain something else or somebody else? He's perfect for what you guys are doing. He's absolutely perfect for the system that you guys have in place, for the coaching staff, what they want to do, and then to have a defense like you have. You have a defense like you have. Just don't throw the ball away, right? It's like that's just don't turn the ball over. You know what I mean? On offense, figure it out. You'll get there. You'll score He's absolutely perfect, I think, for the system that you guys have. And I don't know, maybe you don't like him because he doesn't, he's not slinging it around like Warren Moon used to, or Randall Cunningham, or, one of those guys. But you got to, the bottom line is you want to win football games, and you guys are doing that. So, I don't know. Sorry, I'm holding the phone and it's moving around here a little bit.
Oh, that's
but,
all right. I'll tell you, it's funny. People were asking for the takeaway off of his one loss last week against the Browns. And I watched the all 22 and went back through it. And to me, what stood out was the Browns. I mean, I thought the Browns defense was absolutely fantastic. And it's Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who nobody really talks about, but he was great at Notre Dame. Now I'm asking a Notre Dame linebacker about a Notre Dame linebacker, but Owusu-Koramoah is super special as an athlete. He gets these, he gets these crazy deep drops. You can't throw it over the top of his head, even though he's not the biggest guy. If he blitzes, he gets home. If he gets you out in space, you're going to the ground. He's just an awesome defensive player. And then you have Myles Garrett up front and Denzel Ward and all these good DBs behind, and Koramoah in the middle. I just think that Browns defense is spectacular.
It's a lot, what that game was. What that game was old school. That was an old school physical. We're gonna, both teams were just like, we're running the ball. It's what we do, right? We're just gonna. It was the hardest hitting. It's not surprising that you guys came out, pretty banged up, because that was a physical damn football game.
Yeah.
Right. That was not a finesse game. That was not spread them out and, chuck it here. No, both teams lined up and said, this is what we do. This is what we're going to do. You just need to stop us. And it was a beatdown, man. It was It was like it was a street fight. It was amazing because it wasn't like you said, it wasn't fancy. It was just running the ball. Yeah, you got an 8-man box. So what? We're still going to hand this ball off, and your safety's going to have to tackle my running back. And it was on both sides of the ball. And it came down to what? Right? It came down to just a couple mistakes. Actually, you guys should have won You guys absolutely should have won that game had you made a 41-yard field goal, right?
Yeah. Rookie
So
kicker missed a
yeah,
41-yard right then.
but I'm saying that's football, man. That's on the road. You're in Cleveland in the rain outside. I mean, the whole thing. It's like, yeah, that was a hell of a football game, man. As far as that goes, just with the physicality of your offensive line, um, Cleveland's offensive line, the running game. Two teams that really care about the running game. You know what I mean? Early in that game, McCaffrey. You watch McCaffrey and the man sets up blocks like I haven't seen in a long time. His vision is second to none. You know what I mean? And to
Yeah.
watch him go about doing his thing and doing what he does, and yeah, that was a damn good football game.
Pete, we'll let you go. Great stuff. Give me a wild card Monday night on your side of the ball, on your the Viking side of the matchup, offense or defense. Is there somebody that you're looking for as a wild card Monday night in the game?
Um, I just think that I've been waiting on TJ Hawkinson, and it's been frustrating just with some of the struggles that he's had this year. You pay him all that money, and but with the amount of cover two and some of those things that you guys do, I would like to think that TJ would be targeted quite a bit. And I'm not talking about like deep down the field. I'm talking about just in the middle of the field. I'd love to see him. I think we're going to need him. We're absolutely going to need him, and points are going to be at a premium. And um, I just don't see 75-yard drives for touchdowns happening too often with our offensive situation. Defensively, we just got to stay aggressive and do what we do and keep the ball in front of us. Luckily for the Vikings, you guys are missing some playmakers. And probably will be missing some playmakers on offense, and it's gonna the best chance the Vikings have is it's a low scoring game, and I'm talking 12-14. Right? I
Yeah.
just think that's our best chance at winning, and so I don't know. We'll see. This is one of those games where I think the Vikings are we're a better team than our record, I think, shows. We're not deficient in certain areas or in a lot of areas, but you guys are just such a solid team. You know, A to Z. It's gonna be a tough one.
Hey man, we've been fans of your career for a long time. It's what a
Well, thank you.
nice career you've had, huh? I mean, you Illinois kid goes to winds up at Notre Dame, and then gets drafted by the Vikings. Stays right there in the Midwest. Gets the
Where
chance
the
to
weather's where
broadcast.
the weather's terrible. I just
Yeah,
can't.
where
I can't get. I can't get out of the Midwest. I mean, you know what? I grew up like in the Joliet area, and I've met Gene Simmons. I've flown with the Blue Angels. I mean, what more could a guy
nice.
want?
Yeah. And
I
now you
made it.
cover. I mean, you're seriously, and you're enjoying covering football. You enjoy. You're
Yeah, I
doing
love it.
the high school thing, the
Yeah,
broadcast thing. Your schedule's probably better than if you were, some linebacker coach sweating it out in the
a little
NFL,
bit.
right?
My bank account would be a little bit better if I was coaching, but
Yeah.
it's yeah. I love the game. I'm still curious about the game to this day, and I love teaching it. And I think kids need football more now than ever. Um, and I enjoy it. Just every Sunday being able to sit in a booth. I get paid to watch football. Are you kidding me? I get paid to watch NFL football. There's nothing better.
Hey man, we love your breakdowns. Keep it rolling, and
Thank you.
thanks for jumping on the Krug show and chopping it up with us today. We really appreciate you.
No problem, man. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Pete.
Take care.
Pete Bercich, former Notre Dame linebacker, one of the voices of the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings and Niners go Monday night in Minneapolis, and national TV game of the week. Everybody's watching. should be fun to watch. And I love, it's funny. Jesse, we were doing the stream last night with Jesse Naylor, and he was talking about his Behind the Enemy Lines segment before the show. And it's one of my favorite segments of the week, and we have more time for it on Friday. Now, today is, believe it or not, even though it's a Friday, it's kind of like a Thursday schedule. So I'll be going down to Santa Clara to talk to Brock Purdy, Steve Wilkes, Chris Forster, go back in the locker room and do some more interviews. A normal Thursday schedule on a Friday, so it's not our normal Friday. But at 11 a.m., I'm going to pop on with Damon Bruce on his channel and talk a little bit about this matchup. And then we'll be down in Santa Clara this afternoon. So that's the schedule for today. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., the coach will be in the house for our regular Saturday morning back and forth. So I'm looking forward to that. And then Sunday, we're just going to be Sunday on the couch watching NFL football. We'll probably do some videos and hang out. And then Monday, of course, Monday Night Football. And we'll do a little pre-deal, and then we will do post-game with Kev and Baller. Our Baller's not going to be there, but it'll be Kev, maybe Danny, maybe Rye, JD, breaking it down. And then Tuesday night, Warriors Suns opening night. And Frank Red's going to be in the house. Cyrus, Carl Foster, Baller will be in the house Tuesday night for post-game Warriors Suns. I'm excited to see, after the Warriors have run the table in the preseason, look pretty good, what they look like against KD and the Suns Tuesday night in the opener of the NBA season. So we'll do a lot of Warrior hoop this year, starting course, opening night. We've got one super here from BM Goodboy. He says, Larry, when was the last time we won at Minnesota? 1992? They blitz a ton, too. Could be another trap game. Well, I'll say this. This is a very important game for the Niners, because if they lose this game, they're going to be staring at a Cincinnati Bengal team. The Niners will be operating on a short week. Bengals will be coming off a bye, rested up and ready. So, you don't want to limp in. The last thing you want to do in the NFL is lose 2 or 3 in a row. It doesn't matter how you start. If you lose 2 or 3 in a row, you're kind of giving it all back. So this is a big game. This is a big game for the 49ers. A lot of people feel like this is a big game for Brock Purdy. Can he bounce back after, his probably one of his worst performances last week against Cleveland? Once again, people will say, what's your take on that game? My take is that the Browns are awesome. I think that's really it. I think the Browns defense is really, really good. And then you take away CMC and you take away Debo, you mix in a couple missed field goals, some untimely penalties, a turnover, and there you go. There you have it. Still, they had a chance to win at the end, and it didn't happen. But I really think that Browns defense is fantastic. And if you look at the numbers, it's historically a great defense. And in that game, Dalvin Tomlinson played exceptionally. So you had Dalvin Tomlinson up front playing great. You got Zadarius Smith and Myles Garrett firing off the edges. JOK, I think, had one of the best linebacker games I've seen this year in the league. And then their back end, Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson. Those are probably the 3 best corners they've gone against on one team this year. And then Delpit and Thornhill are damn good safeties. So the Browns on the back end are really, really good. So there's not a lot of cover. There's not a lot of room in the secondary. Then you take away some weapons, mix in some sloppy weather, and you've got a killer front that's running for your life, wet ball. I mean, there's just all kinds of things that went wrong last week. But I thought Purdy, in the midst of it, played. He made 3 bad throws in the first half. He made 3 bad throws in the second half, including an interception. At the end of the day, they just didn't score points. So, and they weren't good on third down. So that's the quarterback down. If you praise a guy when he does well on third down, then you gotta be critical when they don't get it. You either get it done or you don't get it done. And that's kind of the bottom line. Now, I choose to point to Cleveland as the main reason for that, but we'll find out Monday night. Does Brock bounce back against this Vikings defense? Now, the Viking defense is not the same as the Browns defense. Daniil Hunter is a tremendous player. There's no question. And he looks incredible. And as Tim Ryan said, he's shredded like salad. But I think the rest of their line, Dean Lowry, Harrison Phillips inside, Bullard, they run a 3-4 with Hunter and Wanham coming off the edges. I mean, Wanham, the former South Carolina guy, is a little stiff, but he can rush the passer. Pace can really run. The inside backer from Cincinnati, the rookie. They'll go with some 3 safety looks. Harrison Smith has always been a solid player. Cam Bynum's the former Cal Bear. He had 9 tackles last week. Very active player. Former corner, now playing free safety. Metellus, to me, is the wild card because he is the blitzer. He's the nickel back. They use him going at the quarterback. He's up on the line of scrimmage. He's kind of the wild card factor. You got to get Hunter blocked, but you got to account for where Metellus is if they're going with a 5-man pressure or any kind of exotic at all involving him up on the line of scrimmage. I think that's what you got to watch for from Brian Flores is how his use of Metellus in their 3 safety looks or he's actually their nickel back, but they'll creep him up on the line of scrimmage and he'll attack the quarterback. So, and then as you heard, they'll drop defensive linemen and send 4, but then Metellus will be one of the guys who's rushing the quarterback. So Hunter and Metellus, to me, are the guys you got to circle on this defense and know where they're at pre-snap because those are the guys that are going to be coming at the quarterback. Now, 3 years ago, I liked Dean Lowry and Harrison Phillips a lot more than I do now. Now I think they're just pedestrian. We'll see. I think the 49er interior can handle Harrison Phillips and Dean Lowry. So that's the matchup. And then the Vikings are struggling to run the football. They have no Justin Jefferson. Madison and company average 2.1 a carry. What's going to be interesting to me is the running back splits. Who gets the ball? Is it Madison who got the ball the majority of the time last week, or do they work in Cam Akers? Do we see any Ty Chandler? Cousins is, as Bosa said, he's kind of textbook, but he doesn't have Jefferson. And Addison is really, really slithery, but he's not the biggest, strongest guy and can be rerouted at the line. We're talking about a guy who weighs 175 pounds. So I think you got to get your hands on him at the line because he's really, really slippery and slithery. If he can get off the line smoothly, you got a tough player down the field. He's very, very, very competitive at the catch point, and he's a tough guy to mirror because he's so light that he gets in and out of breaks very smoothly for a rookie receiver. So I'm looking forward to the matchup. I think the Niners bounce back in a huge way, and I think they'll wind up winning big. But Kirk Cousins is a good NFL quarterback, and you get him on the wrong day, he can make you look bad. So Kyle McKiernan says, sounds like you have a small cold, Larry. Little congestion, I'd say. Yeah, these early morning shows, that'll get you every time. I definitely have a little congestion. Hey, this is what we're gonna do though. We're gonna play. We mention our sponsors right here. Then we're gonna duck out. We're gonna jump back on with Damon at 11, and we're gonna talk more about the matchup over there on the Damon Bruce Plus channel coming up in a little bit. But thanks to our sponsors, MarinAutoglass.com, 415-883-3030. If you shatter a windshield and you need a new one, MarinAutoglass.com is for you. And, of course, New York style Italian sausage. The only kind of sausage I will eat is New York style sausage. Also, Mojo Fantasy. Excuse me. If you don't know by now, Mojo Fantasy has partnered with the Krueger Show, and Mojo is phenomenal. They're a brand new startup. Mojo Fantasy has introduced a whole new way to play fantasy football that you can enter into contests and build a portfolio of players, and the props you pick act like stocks. You can buy and sell player stock all game long. You can make your picks initially and let it ride, or you can go back and forth all day. You make picks, you make moves, you make money. Just check that link in the description. Make sure you use the promo code Krug, Krueg, and you'll get matched up to $100 on your first deposit. Also, everybody who does register at mojo.com and hit that promo code Krug automatically is entered into a Thanksgiving night jersey giveaway where we're giving away a Nick Bosa and a Brock Purdy jersey in your size, whatever size you are. We will order it for your size, a Bosa jersey or a Purdy jersey. if you just use that promo code Krug at mojofantasy.com. And of course, you'll automatically get your first $100 matched on your first deposit. So that's kind of cool. And we'll give that away in the post-game Thursday, Thanksgiving Thursday from Seattle. We won't be in Seattle, but the Niners will be in Seattle. We'll be on the post-game, and we'll give away the jerseys Thanksgiving night. And then, of course, also thanks to Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Here's their spot in Marin. Welcome back to the Krug Show, and final thoughts here. We are closing in. We've had an incredible couple of weeks as far as the channel is concerned. We're sitting right now at 26,313 subs. We've had almost 1.7 million views of our videos or streams over the last 4 weeks alone, over 215,000 watch hours. And picked up nearly 3,000 subscribers in the last month alone. So thank you to everybody who has helped grow this this YouTube channel, most specifically my son Kevin and the great Len Dempsey, who have helped me consistently behind the scenes since the outset. All right, that is going to do it for us. Hope you enjoyed Pete Bercich. Pete's a great guy, former Notre Dame linebacker, now part of the Vikings broadcast team. And this is what I like to do on Fridays is talk a little bit, find somebody who actually knows something about, the opponent and get them on. And, sometimes, and I only really want to get the best people on. So a guy like Pete, I didn't call 25 people and say, hey, can you come on? Can you come on? Can you come on? I just called Pete and said, man, you're the best. Come on. We'd love to have you. And he's like, great, let's do it. So it was awesome to have him. He's fantastic. And you can catch him on the Minnesota Vikings radio network doing a great job covering Viking football. All right, until 11 o'clock, join me over with Damon Bruce at 11, and then I'm down in Santa Clara for more a Niner Thursday on a Friday. Until then, peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for.